what are the 5 or 6 main things that police officers look for in identifying somebody who is a drug dealer?
Absolutely. That's a really good question, Roland. I think number one has got to be how much drugs is the person possessing and how are they possessing it? The more drugs a person has on them and the more these drugs are packaged in individual containers or bindles or bottles, if we're dealing with pills, the more likely it will appear to a police officer that this person is a drug dealer as opposed to a user. The more the drugs are possessed as a singular item that's not individually prepackaged, the less likely it's going to appear to a police officer that the drugs are possessed for sale, and the more it's going to appear as if the person is possessing the drugs for personal use. Number two, if a person has in their possession a scale, many police officers will view it as proof that this person is a merchant who is weighing out product in order to accurately sell the amount that is being purchased. So if you carry a scale on you, even if you're not a drug dealer and you're simply using the scale in order to weigh out the product that you're purchasing, you're going to make yourself vulnerable to an appearance of being a drug dealer, because this is how a law enforcement officer is going to interpret it. Number three, presence of sales-related messages or voicemails or other communication on your iPhones, on your iPads, on any electronic devices is going to be a phenomenal clue to a police officer that you are selling drugs. At one point or another, in virtually every single drug case that we see, police officers will attempt to get into your electronic devices and search them, sometimes with a warrant, sometimes because people give them misguidedly permission to look for things. But if they find messages where somebody else is asking you, how much can I buy this much drug for, even if you're using some cute code names for it, like my friend Molly was an expression we saw in one of our cases. It was creative, but obviously referred to ecstasy or other type of terms. Police officers are smart. They know what's going on the street, and they will be able to figure out that you are responding to messages where other people want to purchase drugs from you. And if you are acknowledging that in fact you have drugs to sell, you're quoting prices, all of this is going to make it look like you're obviously selling and not possessing drugs for personal use. Number four, if you possess payo sheets or business transaction records that look like you are selling drugs, that's going to be a very important clue to law enforcement that you are a business operator and not a mere user. When we talk about payo sheets, we refer to simple ledgers. Sometimes it could be a piece of paper on which you have a bunch of names and amounts. John, $25. Mary, $10. Juan, $30. To a police officer who is sophisticated enough to understand how much certain drugs cost, in what transactions individual users typically purchase drugs, it's not that complicated to decipher a payo sheet, and they can fairly easily conclude that these sheets are records, sometimes very poorly kept, records of a drug transaction as opposed to simple list of people who owe you money. So if you are possessing drugs for personal use and you happen to simultaneously carry a piece of paper with a reminder of all the people in the world that owe you money, you might be inadvertently creating an impression that you are a drug dealer, especially if you're possessing quite a bit of drugs, you're carrying them in separate packages, have scale on you, and a bunch of money laying around in small denominations. Number five would be packaging material. I mentioned it earlier, but obviously if drugs appear to be packaged for sale, if you have a lot of baggies, if you have plastic bags that are easy to tear a piece from and wrap drugs in, to make it a bindle, police officers know what's up. They encounter drugs in bindles all the time. They know what packaging looks like when they deal with users. And so if you happen to have a lot of packaging material on you, it's going to make it appear as if you are a merchant trying to sell product and you're providing a bag to go with it. Same way as when you go to the store and they ask you paper or plastic. Finally, number six, if you carry a lot of currency on you, especially currency that appears to be in smaller denominations, it's going to make it appear that you're a merchant who carries a lot of change. Just like when you go to a store, you pay for something and you need to give change, they will have currency. Drug dealing is no different, and police officers are well aware of that. So if you're not out there selling drugs, please be aware of the things that police officers are looking for so you do not get caught in a net that was not meant for you, not cast for you, and you want to stay out from.